So today we're going to talk about resistance, and that's a resistance to awakening, to inner peace, to happiness, and especially to working with A Course in Miracles, and even more especially forgiveness. So I'm going to ask the group here, why do we resist? What is it for? What's the main purpose of resistance? You know, A Course in Miracles always says, ask the question, what is it for? About everything. So what is resistance for?
I think resistance is a way to keep myself special and separate.
To keep myself separate, right. What I love about synchronicity is only 2 days ago I was reading in my Kindle a book called A Year of Forgiveness, which is a channeled work from Jesus by Tina Spalding. I've only just started the book and I was reading lesson 4 on Thursday, and this is what it said. I am pleased you have made it to day 4. This is Jesus speaking. This is no small thing when you consider the part of your mind you know as yourself has no interest in this process. You encounter an aspect of your mind that argues with what you, in your attempt at consciousness evolution, try to do. You hear a voice in your mind or have feelings of resentment or resistance to doing the lessons. It is very important at this early stage, when you are a novice at the mind training business, and we all are, let's be honest, that you understand the larger part of your consciousness has no interest in spiritual evolution or consciousness expansion. In fact, it absolutely resists it. Why is this so? Well, you have chosen to come into separation. You have chosen to come into this place that so profoundly lacks love. This is a world of limitation. Your body and your individual appearance demonstrate your conscious belief in individuality and separation. In that individuality and separation, you have been further trained by your society to feed that part of you. So when you are asked to do things that go against your society's training, that well-fed part of your mind, used to having things its way, will not be happy at all. It is just as people newly going to the gymnasium to improve their fitness, 3 or 4 days in, their muscles start to complain. The minds of the beings trying to improve their fitness realize that this is going to be a little bit more difficult than they thought. This is when you really need, this is when it is really important to recall the decision that you have made to do this year-long study. Now we're on a 1-year course, but the Course in Miracles has a 1-year study of the lessons, 365 lessons. Because you made this decision based on evidence that the way your mind works and the way you do things is not bringing you what you want. That has not changed on day 4 or month 4. Has it, dear ones, Jesus says. You have not suddenly started to live the life that you want. You still have the same evidence speaking to you that you had at the beginning of this journey. But do not back out now. Do not sabotage yourself by saying, oh, I can't do this. This is too much bother. Go back to the decision that you made. There must be a better way than the way I'm doing it. So the real cause of our resistance lies in the fact that we will lose our self if we do this work. And that self, I mean your body, and your personality, which basically is the ego. And we think we are a body and this personality. So we think, even with your not wanting to be seen and your wanting to be special, this is what we think will disappear. Somewhere in the Course it says our self is our most cherished possession. Even more than the Maserati, even more than your house or your family or your relationships. Yourself is the most cherished possession of all. And don't take me away from me. This is what we have running underneath when we come on a course like this or start a Course in Miracles. Don't take me away from me. We don't necessarily realize that it's going on. And that's why we have to be told what's going on and to look at that. Now, in the text of the Course, there has two very important quotes. It says, the ego first convinces us that we shouldn't look inside because we think there is something dreadful there. Here's the quote. Loudly the ego tells you not to look inward, for if you do, your eyes will light on sin, and God will strike you blind. And this is built into many religions, that you'll go to hell if you're sinful. What if you looked within and saw no sin? Then we would see that the self was actually nothing and illusory. That is our greatest fear. Remember, the whole of our being here, this sense of self, is based on the guilt of separating from God. So unconsciously we see ourselves as a sinful self, one who pushed God away, even killed God, and that God will rise up and punish us for pushing him away. We think deeply hidden. But what if we looked and found that there was no sin? This whole self that we've built is an illusion and would therefore disappear if we look. So we don't look. So that's the why. We resist. Why we resist is that we don't want to let go of this self that we've spent eons, lifetimes developing. This wonderful specialness that we've developed. And as we know by now, the whole forgiveness process is the process of looking, a gentle looking. But if we don't know what we're looking for, we can't do the forgiveness. This is why Course in Miracles is so helpful. It's telling us what we're doing with our minds. So let's break it down. How are we resisting? And this first way I'm going to read from the handout is called dissociation. Dissociation is a distorted process of thinking where two thought systems that cannot coexist are both maintained. Now, before we started any inner work, we had our ego thought system and everything was fine. We just kept living that out. And we come on a course like this, or we start a Course in Miracles or other self-development, and we're now starting to work with another thought system, which is different from the thought system we had before. So thinking where two thought systems that cannot coexist are both maintained, because they're actually totally opposite in thinking. If they are brought together, their joint acceptance becomes impossible, and one of them must be denied. And in the world, we have largely denied the Holy Spirit's voice and listened to the ego. See, we've always had two voices. The Holy Spirit's always been there, the voice of love, and the ego voice, the voice of separation. They've always been there, so we've always had this. So we've denied the Holy Spirit's voice so that we could live out the life of special individual self. When we start this work, and especially with the Course in Miracles, we are activating both thought systems and trying to bring them together. This brings up tremendous fear. So we keep them apart by building a wall between them. This way we can keep both alive in our minds. So we come on courses like this, and we're very diligent and very open, and we're sharing all our stuff, and it feels like we're doing really well. And then as soon as we shut the door, when we go home, we kind of forget it and get back into arguing with our partners and getting irritated with everything that they do and say. We believe what A Course in Miracles says. Then there is our everyday life where we continue to judge, defend and attack, forgetting all that we've learned. So that's one way we do it, called dissociation. Another way is called cognitive dissonance. And this occurs when reality does not match our reality, or when truth does not match our inner reality. So to reduce cognitive dissonance, we have to change the external reality to keep our beliefs intact. For example, with A Course in Miracles, we might say it means something else to what it actually says. So we might call it metaphorical instead of literal, for example, or the other way around. Or we might say some parts of the Course in Miracles are correct and other parts come from Helen, who's the scribe of the Course, Helen Schuckman. Other parts come from her ego, just to make it wrong. Or it is the truth, but not from me now, or ever. So somehow we push it away. If A Course in Miracles is correct, then everything I believe is wrong. And so I am wrong. So I don't even exist, and this is intolerable. We do not want to see what it says, so we don't see what it says. Benta, who some of you have met, she has been attending the group on Facebook called Let's Discuss A Course in Miracles. And from what I hear, this is a group of people who think they're very special, who are arguing about how they interpret particular sentences in A Course in Miracles. And they have arguments that go on and on and on. So they don't see what it says either. But it looks good because, you're part of a Let's Discuss A Course in Miracles group. It's a spiritual thing to do, we think. Personally, if I was to set up a Course in Miracles group about A Course in Miracles, I'd set one up called Let's Not Discuss A Course in Miracles. Let's just practice it. So let's look at the workbook of the Course in Miracles, the lessons. The purpose of the lessons is to apply the looking of forgiveness to our everyday lives. This is why meditation in a cave does not really work. It's one way to keep up the wall. Because really the practice is to get us to be in a state of meditation as we go about our daily lives, as we are interacting with our partners. Catching, there I go defending myself, there I go making you right or making you wrong, or whatever it is that I'm doing in that moment. Or we choose specific people or situations where we do not forgive. So we might forgive our special friends, but never forgive our partner, for example, or the other way around. Or we might choose certain politicians to be, really good, and other politicians to be really bad, like Trump and Putin haters, for example. Or we might compromise and make deals in our minds and not know that we're doing it. And this is why Course in Miracles is so helpful in telling us what we are doing. And those who are into Christianity, they probably won't like this one. In Christianity, we have the illusion of following Jesus with faith, so we don't have to do the work, and therefore also keep up the wall. Many techniques like hypnosis or using psychedelics, etc., can get you temporarily past the wall, but do not undo the resistance. Because there's no mind trick. You know, you can take mushrooms or other psychedelic things, and you feel like you've totally opened to something. And you probably have. You've stepped past the wall, but the wall is still there. Your old way of thinking is still in your mind. You haven't worked with it. And Bill Thetford, who worked with Helen Schuckman when they were scribing the course, he was the one that received the material and edited it or whatever. He said, if it's not in the workbook, then don't do it. So he doesn't recommend psychedelics or hypnosis or whatever. If it's not in the workbook, then don't do it. Very simple. So how do we end all this? Well, of course, forgiveness is the end of dissociation. It's the end of cognitive dissonance. It's the end of resistance. It is the looking gently at the split mind and the wall we have built. I mean, let's be realistic here. This is a world of separation. This is a world where we've chosen to be separate. So everyone has built a wall. Some bigger than others, some have specialness a little bit more than others, you know, if they want to be really special. But we all have it, we're all the same. We've all got the same ego script, and we choose certain bits of it to amplify and certain bits to make very quiet or whatever. But basically it's the same. I'm sorry to say, those who think they're so special. So it's looking gently at the split mind and the wall we have built. If we don't look, the wall remains. We bring the two thought systems, love and fear basically, together by bringing the darkness to the light in our right minds. Now this is very crucial to understand. We have to bring the darkness to the light. We have the right light in our right minds, that's the Holy Spirit shining in our right minds. And we bring the darkness, oh, there I go, attacking somebody. I show it to my right mind, or the voice in my mind, right mind. That's bringing the darkness to the light. I'm not understanding it, I'm not changing it, fixing it. I'm just looking at it and say, help me see this differently. What we all nearly always, or what the ego always does, is bring the light into the darkness. So we bring God into the world, we bring Jesus into the world. Jesus, heal my body, or make the war stop, whatever it is that we're praying Jesus to do. Instead of taking my war thoughts to Jesus. When we try to understand anything, we're bringing the light into the darkness, our light into the darkness. We're making it real. When we try and change something, we're making it real. When we try and fix something, we're making it real. When we try and save somebody, we're making their issue real. So forgiveness is a process of bringing the darkness to the light. This is something to be very aware of, because the ego will always try and do it the other way around to keep it all in place, making it look like you're being religious or spiritual or whatever. If we bring the light, Jesus, God, or our understanding into the darkness, the world, we make it real and thus keep up the wall. The first step is to forgive yourself for even having a wall, like I was saying. Don't judge yourself for having a wall. We all have one. It's part of the ego script. But be aware that if you don't be aware that you don't actually want to do that. We don't want to forgive. We don't want to look gently, because what will happen? I will disappear. My most cherished possession. After all, who would I be without my wall? And something that we have looked before, but I think it's worth repetition, and it comes from the text, but I think it's also a lesson. I need do nothing. Yeah, it's a chapter in the text. I need do nothing. We actually don't even need to undo the ego. It's really what I've just been saying. We don't do anything with the ego. We simply need to undo the belief that there is an ego. We've made it all up. Right? There's no such thing as an ego. It's a script that we've co-created together to keep the separation going. I.e., the belief in separation. So the problem is not the wall of resistance itself. The problem is we want the wall. If we have the wall up, we stay. I stay. Douglas stays, Lena, daughter, everyone stays. So we need to be aware of that. We want the wall. We want the dissociation. We want the cognitive dissonance. Just be aware of that. A Course in Miracles is a lot of hard work training us to do nothing. See, eventually your mind becomes more and more quiet. You do less and less with your mind. You simply observe. The ego hates this and always tries to fix in some way. All we need to do is be aware. Whenever we try to fix anything, we make it real. So we don't have to do anything with the resistance. We must simply acknowledge that it's there and allow ourselves to feel its effects. However, being aware and looking will bring up our resistance even more. See, when we really do start doing the work and the willingness increases, it gets even more uncomfortable. Suspiciousness turns to viciousness. The ego gets vicious when it's threatened. There's a section in the manual for teachers called the development of trust. And it talks about 6 stages. I think I've mentioned this before. As we see in the 4th stage of the development of trust, we eventually start to realize that we even have to let go of the self that's doing the forgiving. We're talking about a very advanced stage now. So this special self, we have to even let go of that. And also the one that put up the wall. This brings up tremendous fear, and hence the dark night of the soul that's experienced in the 5th stage. Sorry guys, that's just something to look forward to. Way up the ladder. You think you're doing really well, and then suddenly you really hit the wall. Hit the wall. The problem is not what we dissociate, it is that we dissociate. Freud's mistake was he thought it was the what. So we must learn to look at it all with a gentle smile, and as we do this, the wall gradually dissolves. But it does take time because of our fear.